the night of blood and moonlight. The wind was so cold that it felt like tiny knives cutting against Suri's cheeks as she rode her old delivery bike up the narrow mountain road. Snow was falling in slow, heavy flakes, spinning in the beam of her headlight. The sky above was a deep, dark gray, hiding the moon. It was the kind of night when most people stayed inside with hot drinks and warm blankets. But Suri was not most people. She was a delivery girl, with rent due in 3 days, a landlord who did not understand the word grace, and a manager who loved to remind her that there are 100 other people who can take your job, Suri. She shivered and rubbed her gloved hands together as she checked the delivery app on her phone, clamped near the handlebar. "Final order," she whispered. "Just one more." The app showed a glowing red pin at the top of the hill. The customer had written in the notes, "Extra tip if you come fast, do not cancel." $15 extra. $15 was groceries. $15 was one more day to breathe. "I can do this," she told herself. The tires of her bike crunched over frozen patches of snow. Every now and then the back wheel slipped a little and she had to fight for balance. The road was empty. No cars, no lights, no sound except the whisper of wind and the soft growl of her weak engine. She thought of her grandmother, the woman who raised her. Her grandmother used to warn her about mountain roads. "Night hides many things, Betty," she would say. "Not everything that bleeds is human, and not everything that smiles is kind." Suri smiled a little at the memory and shook her head. "Nani, if you saw my rent bill, you would tell me to go," she muttered. After 20 more minutes of climbing, her app pinged again. "You are near the destination." She saw a lonely wooden cabin on the side of the road, a small light glowing in the window. She parked, took the food box from her bag, and walked up to the door, her boots sinking into the soft snow. She knocked. No answer. She knocked again, louder this time. "Hello? Food delivery?" Still silence. She checked the app. The order was marked prepaid. No message, no instructions. "Seriously?" she breathed. "You drag me all the way up here and then you sleep?" She knocked one last time. When no one came, she called the number on the order. It rang and rang, then went to voicemail. Ugh. After 5 minutes of waiting in the cold, her fingers numb, she sighed and placed the food box carefully near the door. She took a picture, uploaded it to the app as proof of delivery, and marked it completed. Instantly, a message popped up. "Tip received, $15. "Thank you," she said to the empty air, even if the customer could not hear her. She walked back to her bike, her body tired and heavy, her thoughts filled with numbers. Rent, electricity bill, food. She calculated and recalculated in her mind, trying to make the little she had stretch further and further. "Maybe I can skip dinner for a few days," she mumbled. "Just tea is fine." She started the engine and turned the bike around, pointing it back down the mountain. The road ahead was a long black ribbon between tall trees, their branches heavy with snow. The wind sounded like whispers around her. For a moment, she thought she heard something else. A low sound, a groan. Or maybe it was just the wind. Suri increased her speed a little. The sooner she got back to the city, the better. But after a few minutes, her headlight caught something strange on the ground. She almost missed it. Red. At first she thought it was a trick of the light, just a reflection in the snow. But as she rode closer, she saw that it was not a reflection. Dark red streaks painted across the white surface, thick and real. Blood. Her heart jumped. She stopped the bike with a jerk, the engine idling as she stared. The blood trail started near the road and led into the trees, interrupted only where the snow had fallen over it. The edges of the blood were still glossy and wet. Fresh. She swallowed hard. "No," she told herself. "No, no, no, you are not doing this. Call the Rangers, call someone else. Go home." Her hand reached for her phone almost automatically, but she did not unlock it. She just sat there, breathing, listening to the cold night. Her grandmother's voice rose in her mind, clear as if the old woman stood beside her. "You have a gift, Betty, rare blood, universal blood. Someday it might save a life. Do not run from that day." Suri squeezed her eyes shut. "Nani, please, not now," she whispered. She was scared. Of what she would see, of what she wouldn't be able to do, of being too late, of being the only one there with no real help. But beneath the fear, something else moved, a strong, painful feeling she knew well. She did not want anyone to die alone in the cold. With a deep breath, she turned off the bike and climbed off. The night felt heavier without the engine's noise. She opened the small storage box under the seat and pulled out a faded green bag. Inside it was a donor kit, a sealed needle, tubing, alcohol wipes, a small tourniquet. Her grandmother's final gift, forced on her with stubborn love. "Your blood is rare, Betty, O negative, and something more, old, strong. You can help people when others cannot. Carry this, always." Suri had carried it, of course, but she never believed she would really use it. Until now. Bag in hand, she followed the blood trail. Every step into the trees made her heart beat faster. The snow crunched under her boots. The cold pushed through her jacket like thin knives. Branches brushed against her arms, heavy with white weight. "Hello?" she called. "Is anyone there? Do you need help?" No answer. She kept walking. The beam of her small flashlight cut through the darkness, showing her thin trunks and shadows that looked almost like hands reaching out. The blood trail thickened. More drops, then splashes, then a long smear on a rock as if someone had fallen and dragged themselves forward. "Please be alive," she whispered. "Just please." Finally, she saw him. At first, she thought it was a statue leaning against the base of a tree. A tall figure in dark clothes, head bent down, hair falling over his face. The snow had gathered on his shoulders and knees. Then the light moved lower, and she saw the red. His shirt was torn open across the chest and arms, soaked in blood. Strange wounds cut deep into his skin, not like knife cuts, not like bullet holes. The edges looked burned, almost glowing faintly, as if something hot and hateful had carved them. Suri's breath caught. He was beautiful in a strange, otherworldly way. Even pale and broken, his face was sharp and clean, with high cheekbones and a strong jaw. His lips were almost colorless like the snow. His skin had a strange, faint shine to it in the light. He looked peaceful, like a painting of a sleeping prince. But the pool of blood under him told another story. "Oh my God," she whispered, dropping to her knees beside him. She pressed 2 fingers to his neck, expecting nothing. There, faint, a weak, shaking pulse, like a heart trying to remember how to beat. "You're alive," she breathed. Okay. Think, Suri, think." She looked around as if help would magically appear. There was only snow and trees and darkness. The nearest hospital was at least 40 miles away. He didn't have minutes, much less an hour. Her eyes fell on her green bag. Her grandmother's words echoed again. "Rare blood, universal. You can save someone when no one else can." Her stomach twisted. "This is crazy," she said out loud. "This is actually insane. I am not a doctor. I am a delivery girl. I am not trained for this." But she had taken a small course after her grandmother died. She had practiced on rubber arms. She knew, at least in theory, how to connect a line, how to do a simple transfusion. And he was going to die. She looked at his face again. There was something about him that pulled at her. Not just his beauty, something deeper. Some strange gravity like the feeling you get when you stand at the edge of a cliff and look down. "If I walk away and you die," she whispered, "I'll see your face every time I close my eyes." Her hands moved before she made any final decision. She opened the donor kit, the plastic crinkled loudly in the quiet night. Her breath puffed out white clouds. "Okay," she murmured. "Step 1. Tourniquet." Her fingers shook as she wrapped the band around her own arm, pulling it tight with her teeth. Her vein rose slowly under the skin, dark and ready. She cleaned the area with alcohol wipes, the cold sting sharp and real. Her heart pounded so hard she could feel it in her throat. "Don't faint," she muttered to herself. "That would be really stupid." With slow, shaking care, she slid the needle into her vein. There was a small, sharp pain, then a rush of warmth as her blood began to move through the clear tube. It looked darker than usual in the flashlight glow, thicker, almost as if the night itself was flowing out of her. "This is fine. This is fine. You have spare blood, right?"
Bound by a blood sigil. The scratching on the door did not stop. It came in waves, sometimes soft, like a single claw testing the wood, sometimes loud, like a whole body hurling itself against the planks. Each sound crawled up Suri's spine. She sat on the bench, hugging her arms around herself, trying not to shake. Aldrich stood in front of the door like a statue, listening with his head tilted slightly, silver eyes half closed. "They're not going away," she whispered. "No," he said. "They know the bond is fresh. They are patient hunters." Another drag of claws. This time something laughed, a low, broken sound like an old hinge. "Wonderful," she muttered. "Monsters with a sense of humor." Aldrich turned from the door and walked back to her. In the narrow cone of her flashlight, his face looked both human and not, too pale, too still, his eyes still holding that strange inner shine. His gaze dropped to her wrist. "How does it feel?" he asked. She looked down. The sigil gleamed faintly under her skin like silver ink. Crescent shapes curved around spirals, forming a ring that almost hugged her pulse. "Like a bad tattoo from a night I do not remember," she said. "And heavy, like something is holding on to me from the inside." "That is not a bad description," he replied. "What is it exactly?" I asked. "I heard you say blood sigil? What does that even mean?" He sat on the bench across from her, the small distance between them filled with quiet tension. "Our world, the world of vampires, witches, ancient bloodlines, is built on bonds. Most bonds are simple. Power over the weak, curse over the cursed, promises made with lies." He tapped his own wrist. "This one is different. It is rare, very old. The moonlit blood sigil appears only when a certain type of human blood meets a certain type of royal vampire blood. It forges a pact that binds two lives together." "Binds," she repeated slowly. "As in, how much?" He looked at her, his expression serious. "If I die," he said, "you will feel it. You will feel my pain, my fading. Some humans do not survive the shock." Her breath hitched. "And if I die?" she asked, though she already feared the answer. His jaw tightened. "Then I follow," he said quietly. "True death for me, no resurrection, no second life, no returning in the shadows. We fall together." The shelter seemed to grow smaller around them. The noises outside faded for a moment under the weight of his words. "So," she said slowly, "because I tried to help a stranger in the snow, I have accidentally tied my life to a vampire king?" "Yes," he said. "That is so unfair," she whispered.
A small, rough sound escaped him, almost like a laugh, but without joy. "Believe me, delivery girl, I did not plan this either. I was dying. I expected to stay that way." His eyes softened a little. "Your blood did more than save my body. It tore open something that has been closing for centuries. The curse on my people, the slow death creeping through our veins, it shook when your blood touched it. I feel stronger than I have in 300 years. 300? She repeated, staring at him. A little more, he admitted. The years start to blur after the 2nd century. I thought my 23 years were heavy. A long scratch slid past the roof above them. Dust drifted down. Something hissed like steam. Suri flinched. Who cursed you? She asked, trying to think about anything but the sounds outside. The Shadeborn, he said. The creatures outside. They were once part of our court, jealous, angry, hungry for more power. They made deals with old things under the mountains. When we refused to join them, they broke away and cursed us. He glanced toward the door. My strength faded, my people scattered. I tried to hold what remained of the moon court together, but every year we grew weaker. Many of us turned savage. Others turned to ash in the sun, unable to heal as we once could. He looked back at her, eyes bright. And then you came, with blood that should not exist. She frowned. Everyone keeps calling my blood special, rare. But I'm just O negative. The clinic told me that. Universal donor. You are more than that. O negative does not draw sigils. It does not awaken curses. It does not bring kings back from the edge of dust. Then what am I? She asked, voice small. I do not know yet, he answered honestly. But I intend to find out. The honesty, strange and blunt, settled in her chest. Outside, the scratching grew louder again. The creatures had not given up. Something slammed against one of the shutters. This time the wood groaned. Can they break holy wood? She asked. If enough of them try. But dawn is coming. They are desperate. The knowledge that they were running out of time and also almost safe twisted together in her chest. The creatures outside howled, frustrated. One voice rose louder than the rest. You cannot hide forever, Moon King, it hissed. We will have her. That blood was not meant for you. A cold chill ran down her spine. What does that mean? She whispered. Someone else wanted your blood, he said slowly. Someone who told them about it. She thought of her grandmother again, of blood tests, of doctors talking quietly in corners, of strange men who had once come to the house asking for donation agreements and offering money her grandmother had refused. Maybe this started long before tonight. The scratching grew weaker. The blows against the roof slowed. A pale, thin line of light began to creep under the door. Dawn. Aldrich straightened. They will retreat, he said. They prefer deep dark. Their skin cracks in morning light. As if cue, the footsteps outside faded. Growls turned to distant echoes. The last claw dragged lazily across the door like a threat. Then silence fell. Suri waited for a full minute before letting out a long breath. I have never hated a sunrise so much, and loved it at the same time, she said. Aldrich lifted the bar and slowly opened the door a crack. Gray morning light spilled in, soft and cold. Shapes moved between the trees, retreating shadows. No more red eyes staring back at them, No more voices. "We move now," he said. "The shelter kept us safe, but it is also a beacon. If they dared attack holy ground, they are more desperate than I thought. They will regroup." Suri stood up. Her legs held firm. Her body was tired, but there was a strange energy coiled inside her now, restless and sharp, like a second heartbeat. She looked at Aldrich. "Back to the city?" she asked. "Yes," he said. "Back to your world." They stepped out into the snow. The forest looked almost peaceful in the weak light, as if nothing terrible had happened in the dark hours before. Only the trampled ground and broken branches told the truth. Suri walked beside Aldrich through the trees until they reached the road where her bike waited, half buried in snow. She brushed it off with numb fingers. "Do vampires fit on delivery bikes?" she asked dryly. "I have taken stranger rides, but we'll draw less attention if we stay humble." She swung her leg over the bike, put on her helmet, and handed him the spare. He looked at it like an alien object. "Put it on," she said. "If we survive monsters, but you crack your skull on the road, I will be very annoyed." He sighed and obeyed, the helmet looking slightly ridiculous on his royal head. In another life, she might have laughed harder. He climbed on behind her, careful not to crush her with his weight. His presence at her back felt like a cold star. "Hold tight," she said.
Between two worlds, the city looked normal in the morning light, but Suri did not feel normal at all. She woke up on her small bed with the same weight in her chest that she had felt since the night in the forest. The sigil on her wrist was cold, like silver ink frozen under her skin. When she touched it, a faint warmth pulsed back, like a heartbeat that did not belong to her. The bond. The reminder that her life was now tied to a vampire king. She sat up slowly. Her body felt different, lighter, sharper, awake in a way she had never felt before. She could hear footsteps on the sidewalk outside, the drip of a broken tap in the kitchen, even the faraway sound of someone arguing in the stairwell. Last night had been real. She stood and walked toward the window. Below her building, the street was busy with morning traffic. Cars honked. People rushed to work. The smell of bread from a bakery drifted in. So normal. So unaware. She wondered if anyone passing by would ever guess that monsters had chased her through a forest only hours ago, that she had saved a dying stranger who turned out to be a king, that her blood had drawn silver light, that she was now being hunted. She pressed her fingers to her wrist. "What am I supposed to do now?" she whispered. The bond answered with a pulse of warmth. Aldrich was near. She stepped out onto the small balcony, and there he was. Across the street, standing under the shade of a half-broken billboard, Aldrich watched her quietly. He looked the same as last night, tall, calm, untouchable, windswept hair, sharp face, silver eyes that burned even in daylight. But he also looked tired. The kind of tired that lived in the bones of someone who had fought too long. Their eyes met, and Suri felt a soft, subtle shift inside her, as if the bond hummed, greeting its other half. She lifted her hand slowly. He bowed his head once. A silent good morning. Suri hurried down the stairs and met him at the base of the building. "You look less dead today," she said. "I feel less dead today," Aldrich replied. "Your blood is powerful." "You say that like it's a problem." "It is a mystery," he said, "and mysteries attract attention, dangerous attention." She sighed. "I guessed that part." She started walking toward the delivery shop. Aldrich followed, his steps silent beside her. "There is someone I want you to meet," he said. "Who?" she asked. "Someone from my court. Someone who might understand your blood." She slowed. "Your court? As in vampire court? Am I going to meet vampire nobles?" "No," he said calmly, "just those who survived." His voice carried pain, old, deep, quiet pain hidden under centuries. "After your shift." "I can't skip work," she said quickly. "I need the money." He looked at her as if weighing the words. Then he nodded. "Then I will wait." She blinked. "You don't have to—" "Yes, I do." His tone was soft, but firm, not demanding, simply true. Her shift began like every other miserable morning shift. Manager Rafik barked orders. Coworkers whispered, staring at the new bruise-like pattern on her wrist. Customers came in and left. But there was one difference. Every time something went wrong, the bond hummed. Every time she felt tired, she felt a faint warmth from afar. Every time someone snapped at her, the air in the alley outside shifted, like Aldrich's anger rising. Twice she had to mentally whisper, "Don't do anything," and the bond quieted politely. People treated her the same, but she was not the same. At noon, a small disaster happened. One of her coworkers, a girl named Maya, dropped a whole tray of drinks. Rafik's temper exploded immediately. "Maya, you useless child! Do you have butter for hands or just no brain?" Maya stood frozen, face pale. She needed this job even more than Suri did. Her heart clenched. "It's okay," she said quickly, stepping in. "It was an accident. I'll clean it." "You?" Rafik scoffed. "You think stepping in makes you look like a hero?" She ignored him and got down on her knees to wipe the floor. As she worked, a strange awareness filled the room, like a shadow stretching across the room. She didn't have to look to know Aldrich was somewhere close, watching. His presence felt protective, angry, but held back. She finished cleaning, stood up, and looked at Maya. "It's okay," she whispered. "Ignore him." Maya's eyes filled with grateful tears. A small act of kindness, but kindness mattered. And somewhere outside, Aldrich's anger calmed. The bond pulsed gently like a silent, "Well done." The rest of the shift passed in blur. As the sun began to set, Suri stepped outside. Aldrich was waiting in the shadow of a street lamp. "Are you ready?" he asked. "Depends. Are we going somewhere creepy?" "Creepy is subjective," he replied. "Oh, groan. That's a yes." Without another word, he started walking. She followed. The path he took led behind the busy streets, down narrow alleys, through an old metal gate covered in rust. They moved deeper into abandoned areas of the city, old factories, broken houses, forgotten ground. Finally, Aldrich stopped beside a cracked concrete wall. "We are here," he said. "Where?" she asked. He touched the wall with his palm. The sigil on his wrist glowed softly. The concrete shimmered like water. Then it opened. Behind it was a hidden staircase leading underground, lit softly by old lanterns. Suri's breath caught. "What is this place?" she whispered. "Moonborn Sanctuary," Aldrich said quietly. "One of the last." He walked ahead. She followed, her footsteps echoing softly in the dim light. At the bottom of the stairs, the world opened into a vast underground chamber, warm, lit by silver lanterns, lined with stone arches. Several figures stood waiting. 3 of them stepped forward.
The first was an elderly vampire with long white hair tied back neatly. His eyes were soft, tired, but kind. "This is Thorin," Aldrich said, "my oldest advisor." "A human with moonlit blood," Thorin whispered. "I never thought I would live to see one again." "Again?" Suri blinked. Thorin smiled gently. "Many centuries ago, humans with your blood protected our people. You are one of the last." The second figure was a young woman, maybe 20 in appearance. Though vampires' ages were never true, she had warm brown skin, dark hair braided down her back, and soft eyes. "This is Leora," Aldrich said. "She is our healer." Leora bowed slightly. "Welcome, Suri. I have never felt such energy from a human before." The third figure was the strangest. He was short, maybe 16, with messy hair and shy eyes, but his ears were slightly pointed and his canines a bit too sharp. "This is Kale," Aldrich said, "half human, half vampire." Kale waved awkwardly. "Hi," he said quietly. "You smell nice?" "Kale," Leora scolded. "Sorry," he muttered. Suri tried not to laugh. "It's okay." Aldrich stepped forward. "I brought her to learn," he said to the group. "To understand." Thorin nodded. "Come, Suri." She followed him to a stone table carved with symbols. Thorin placed his old hand above her wrist. The sigil glowed softly. Moonlit blood. Yes, ancient, powerful, rare. Suri swallowed. "Everyone keeps saying that." Thorin looked at her gently. "And you still think you are ordinary?" She nodded weakly. "Good," he said. "Those who know their own danger too quickly often create it." She didn't fully understand, but his tone was warm. Thorin looked at Aldrich next. "The bond is strong," he said, "stronger than any I have seen." "It was not intentional," Aldrich said quietly. "Of course not," Thorin said. "The strongest bonds never are." The healer Leora stepped closer. "Do you feel anything from him?" she asked Suri. She hesitated. "Yes," she said softly.
The prison of silver chains. The moment Suri heard her full name from the stranger's mouth, her entire body froze. The underground tunnel felt smaller, colder. The air turned sharp like broken ice. The Shadeborn agent stepped forward with slow, confident steps. He looked almost human. Perfect hair, expensive suit, smooth face, but his eyes gave him away. Deep red, glowing faintly like burning coals waiting for more fuel. He smiled at her the way a wolf smiles at a rabbit right before it bites. "You," Suri whispered. "You were watching me." "I watch everything," he replied with a soft bow, "especially things that shine where they should not." Aldrich moved instantly, stepping between them, his shoulders squared, his chest rising in a silent growl, silver light flicking inside his eyes. "You will not touch her," Aldrich said. The Shadeborn man tilted his head as if amused. "Touch? No. Humans break too easily. I prefer gentle invitations." His eyes slid to Suri again. "Come with me, little Moonblood. We can give you safety, comfort, gold, power, everything your king cannot give you." Suri's throat tightened. "I don't want any of that." He smiled, sharpened. "All humans want it. Some just hide it longer." Aldrich's voice deepened. "Leave." The Shadeborn man sighed dramatically. "Very well. I was hoping to bring her willingly." His eyes turned colder. but I do not mind taking her the other way." Before Suri could move, before she could blink, before she could breathe, the tunnel went dark. A blast of cold air hit her like a punch. Something grabbed her from behind, fast, invisible, silent. Claws? Hands? Shadows? She couldn't tell. A cloth pressed to her mouth. Her vision blurred. She heard Aldrich roar, like a sound of thunder breaking stone. And then everything went black. She woke on a rough stone floor. The air was damp, cold, heavy. She tried to push herself up, but metal rattled loudly. Her wrists were chained. Thick silver chains tied her arms above her head, burning her skin like fire. Her ankles were chained too, fixed to a metal ring on the floor. The pain was sharp, real, terrifying. She gasped. "Easy, little human," a voice said smoothly. The Shadeborn leader appeared from the shadows, tall, elegant, eyes like dark rubies. "Silver hurts you more now," he said, crouching in front of her. "The bond made your blood sensitive, delicious." Suri pulled away instinctively. The chains tightened and burned worse. "Stop!" she cried. "It hurts!" "It is meant to," he said gently, "to remind you that you are fragile, and that we," he touched her cheek lightly with a cold finger, "are not." She glared at him. "What do you want from me?" His voice dropped to a whisper. "Your blood." Suri's heart pounded. "No." "Yes," he said. "Your blood can break curses. It can heal royal wounds. It can reawaken old powers. You are a miracle, Suri Kong." "I'm not. I'm just a girl trying to survive." "Exactly. Humans who think they are small make the most perfect vessels. Your humility keeps your blood pure." He reached out to touch her wrist where the sigil glowed faintly. The moment his finger came close, her whole arm burned like fire. She screamed. He pulled back with a hiss. "Ah, the bond protects you more strongly than I expected. Good. Stronger bonds create stronger breaks." "Aldrich will come for me," she said, breath shaking. "Yes," he said with a soft smile. "That is the point." He walked away to a table covered in dangerous tools, silver needles, crystal vials, small knives glowing with cold blue fire. "We want him here," he said. "We want him weak. And when he arrives," he lifted a silver-coated blade, "we end the Moon King forever." Suri's lungs tightened. "You'll kill him?" "Kill?" The Shadeborn leader laughed. "No, little human. Not at first. We will make him watch as we take your blood, drop by drop. When the bond breaks him, the remaining curse will finish what it started." "You're insane," she whispered. "Perhaps. Or perhaps I am simply practical." He walked away, leaving her chained and burning. The door slammed shut. The room fell silent except for her breathing and the slow dripping of water from the ceiling. Suri squeezed her eyes shut. She tried to pull at the chains. The silver burned deeper. Tears slipped down her cheeks, not from fear, but from helplessness. "Aldrich," she whispered weakly, "please come." The bond pulsed faintly, distant, weak, but alive, and moving toward her. Time passed strangely in the cell. Minutes felt like hours. Hours felt like days. Sometimes footsteps passed outside the door.
Sometimes distant screams echoed through the halls. Other captives, maybe? Or shadeborn training? Her body ached. Her wrists were raw. Her ankles numbed. The silver chains stung like poison, and every breath felt heavier. But she did not break. Not yet. Her grandmother's voice whispered in her memory, "Strong girls cry, but they do not give up." She held on to that, on to the bond, on to the warmth she sensed faintly from afar. Eventually, the door opened. Softly. A young boy stepped in carefully, not human, not fully vampire. Cale, the half-blood boy from the sanctuary. His eyes were wide with worry. "I found you. I followed the bond trail. Aldrich is fighting his way here. But you're hurt, really hurt." He reached for the chains, then flinched. "Silver burns me too. I can't break it." Suri's voice was barely a whisper. "Cale, you have to run. They'll catch you." "I'm not leaving you," he said, shaking his head. "I'm fast. I can hide. I can help." She managed a small, painful smile. "Thank you." He pulled a small vial from his pocket. "Leora made this. It's a healing drink. It won't fix everything, but it might stop the pain." He held it to her lips. She drank slowly, the liquid cool and sweet like mint. A little strength returned, not much, but enough to breathe easier. "Cale, why risk yourself?" He shrugged shyly. "You were kind to me. Not everyone is." Her heart tightened. "I wish I could free you too." "Don't worry. I'll hide nearby. When Aldrich gets here, I'll help him." Before he slipped out, he turned back. "Suri?" "Yes," she whispered. "Don't give up. Aldrich is coming. I can feel it through the bomb, too." He disappeared into the shadows. Suri closed her eyes, held on to hope. But hope didn't last long. Hours later, the Shadeborn returned. 4 of them. They took her chains off the wall, but kept them around her wrists. 2 dragged her down a long corridor. She stumbled, weak, dizzy, afraid, but she did not fall. The room they entered was large, circular, carved into stone with symbols glowing red. Torches burned with cold blue flames. In the center stood a metal frame shaped like a throne, but not one meant for kings, more like one meant for sacrifices. The Shadeborn leader waited there, smiling. "Bring her," he commanded. They forced her into the metal seat, silver cuffs locked around her arms and legs. She winced as burning pain shot through her veins. The leader cupped her chin gently. "Do not fight. This will only be painful if you resist." "I will resist," she hissed. His smile sharpened. "Good." Then he turned and lifted a small dagger glowing with ancient symbols and cut her arm lightly. Just a thin line, but the effect was instant. Her blood glowed faintly silver. The Shadeborn hissed in hunger. 3 stepped back, trembling at the sight. The leader dipped a crystal vial under the cut. As the blood... The moonlit rebellion. The chamber filled with light. Not torchlight. Not fire. Not electricity. Moonlight. Pure and silver, pouring from Aldrich's body like a storm that had broken open after centuries of being trapped. The Shadeborn stumbled back immediately. Some covered their faces. Some hissed like animals burned by the brightness. Others froze, trembling, unable to move under the pressure of Aldrich's awakened power. Suri felt it all through the bond. Surging strength, cold fury, fierce protectiveness, and something else too. Something warm, something for her. But she also felt the cost. The power she pushed into him burned her veins. Her wrists throbbed, her chest ached. The silver chains glowed red-hot from the energy flowing between them. She was breaking, but she held on. For him. Aldrich moved. He didn't run, he didn't rush, he didn't panic.
He simply stepped forward, and every shade born in his path was thrown backward by an invisible force, hitting the walls like dolls. His voice came out dark and calm. "No more running." He blurred, faster than sight. 1 second he was across the room. The next he was behind a shadeborn, hitting him with a strike so powerful the stone beneath their feet cracked. Another shadeborn leapt at him, fangs long, claws sharp, eyes glowing red. Aldrich flicked his wrist. Moonlight whipped through the air like a blade and cut the creature across the chest, sending him crashing to the ground. The chamber shook with every impact. Suri watched with wide, terrified eyes. She had known Aldrich was strong, but this was something ancient, something untamed, something that belonged to kings. But the shadeborn kept coming. From the shadows, from the door, from the ceiling. 5 at once leapt at Aldrich. He spread his hands and silver light exploded outward in a wave. They hit the walls in silence and did not get up again. Only one remained standing. Their leader. The one who had cut her. The one who wanted to drain her blood. He watched the destruction with a calm, cruel smile. "Impressive," he said softly. "You have truly awakened, Aldrich. A pity your power belongs to her." He pointed at Suri. Her breath stopped. "You think I did not see it. Your strength is not your own. It flows from the little human." Aldrich's body tensed. "You used her power, and now the bond is unstable. She is human. Her soul cannot carry this weight." Suri's vision blurred. "Don't listen to him," she whispered. "I do not need to listen," the leader said. "I can see it." He gestured at Suri's body. The silver sigil on her wrist was burning bright, too bright. Her arms trembled, her lips were pale. The chains were starting to melt around her skin. "She will break," the leader said. "And when she breaks, the bond breaks. And when the bond breaks," he smiled coldly, "you die, Moon King." Suri's heart twisted. "Don't come closer," she whispered. "Save yourself." "Never," Aldrich growled. He took a step toward her. The leader stepped in front of him. "Final lesson," he said quietly. "Power built on a mortal cannot last." He lifted his blade, the same one he used to cut Suri earlier, and pointed it at the glowing sigil on her wrist. "I remove the human, and the curse returns." "No!" Aldrich roared. He moved faster than he ever had, a flash of silver lightning, but the leader was ready. He slammed his hand onto the floor, activating a red sigil carved into the stone. Pain shot through Suri's entire body. She screamed. The bond ignited, white fire racing up her arm, across her chest, down her spine, into her heart. Aldrich dropped to his knees. The pain hit him too. He clutched his chest. Blood dripped from his lips. "A curse seal. Bond overload. If I drive just a little more energy into it, the girl dies. You die, and your court dies forever." Suri's tears fell hot and fast. She could barely breathe. "Please stop," she whispered. "Suri," Aldrich choked out, struggling to stand. "Don't give up. Stay with me." She shook her head weakly. I can't." The sigil pulsed wildly, burning her inside and out. The leader stepped forward with the glowing dagger. "Goodbye, little moonblood," he said softly. But Suri did something he did not expect. She lifted her head and stared straight into his eyes. Her voice came out small but steady. "I am not done." Then she did something insane. She pulled as hard as she could against the chains, not to break free, but to move her arm toward the dagger. The blade cut her deeper, blood spilled, glowing silver white. The room erupted with light. The leader staggered back, blinded. Suri gasped as a new force surged through her, pain and power twisted together until she could no longer tell them apart. Visions flashed before her eyes. Old vampire kings, ancient human guardians, battles fought under full moons, hands joining in blood, oaths sworn, lives shared, two worlds connected, light and dark living together. She understood. Moonlit blood was not meant for war. It was meant for unity, for balance, for protection. Her voice came out as a whisper filled with something bigger than her. This bond is not a chain. She reached toward Aldrich with her bleeding hand. It's a bridge. Moonlight burst from her palm. It shot through the air and wrapped around Aldrich like silver fire. He gasped, but not in pain, in awakening. His body straightened. His eyes turned white bright. His veins glowed like rivers of light. The Shadeborn leader stepped back in horror. "No, impossible," he whispered. Aldrich rose to his feet slowly, like a king waking from centuries of sleep. "Suri," he whispered, staring at her with awe. You gave me everything." The bond between them stabilized, no longer stealing from her, but sharing, balancing, flowing both ways. The pain inside Suri eased. Her heartbeat steadied. The silver chains cooled. The leader screamed in fury. "No, this is not how it was meant to be." He lunged forward with the dagger. Aldrich appeared in front of Suri instantly. He caught the dagger with one hand. It should have burned him. It did not. The leader's eyes widened in fear. "Moonborn cannot touch silver," he whispered. "I can now, because she can." With a twist of his wrist, he crushed the dagger into dust. The leader stumbled back, terrified. "You will not leave this room alive," Aldrich said low and cold. The leader tried to summon shadows, but the shadows refused him. The silver light around Aldrich was too strong. He turned to run. He didn't make it 3 steps. Aldrich moved once, just once, and caught him by the collar, slamming him into the stone wall so hard the entire chamber shook. "This ends," Aldrich said. "Now." Moonlight burst from his hand, swallowing the leader in a flash of light. When the glow faded, nothing remained of the Shadeborn leader but dust on the floor. Silence filled the chamber. Slowly Aldrich turned to Suri. She was still chained, slumped, weak, but alive. Her eyes lifted to his. Tears slipped down her cheeks. You came for me," she whispered. He walked to her with steps that shook the ground. "I would cross worlds for you," he said softly. His hands touched the chains, and they shattered like thin glass. She fell forward, and he caught her instantly. Her body leaned against his chest. His arms wrapped around her. The bond glowed softly between them, warm, safe, steady. She breathed against him. "It still hurts." "I know," he whispered. Are we okay?" she asked softly. He looked into her eyes. "We are more than okay. We are stronger together than either of us ever were alone." She rested her forehead against his chest. The chamber around them flickered with fading moonlight. "Then, what happens now?" she asked quietly. He lifted her gently in his arms. "Now," he said quietly, "we finish what the Shadeborn started." Her eyes widened. "Finish?" "Yes," he said. "The curse is breaking, but not fully. We must complete the bond the right way." "The right way?" she whispered. "Together. By choice." Before she could speak, the ground trembled. The sanctuary above them awakened. Moonborn across the world felt.
The girl who chose the king, Suri, felt the world sway around her as Aldrich carried her out of the destroyed chamber. Her body was weak, drained, trembling from pain and power. But for the first time since the night in the forest, she did not feel alone. The bond between them pulsed softly, steady, warm, alive. She clutched the front of his shirt with shaking fingers. "Where are we going?" she whispered. "To safety first," he said softly, "and then to finish what began between us." His voice was low, calm, careful, but beneath it she felt emotion swirling through the bond, fear, hope, and something deeper, something he had not fully allowed himself to feel for centuries. The moonborn sanctuary above was no longer quiet. As Aldrich carried her through the tunnels, other vampires stepped out from shadows, drawn by the surge of power, by the break in the curse, by the awakening of their king. Some bowed, some stared with awe, some whispered ancient phrases she could not understand. Thorin, the old advisor, stumbled toward them, eyes wide, tears gathering at the edges. "Your Majesty, the curse, it's lighter. I can feel it in my bones." He looked at Suri with reverence. "And you, child, you carry moonlight in your veins." Suri tried to smile, but her body trembled. "I just didn't want him to die," she whispered. Thorin touched her forehead gently. "And in saving him, you saved us all." He looked at Aldrich. "But she will not last long. Finishing the bond is the only way." Suri blinked. "Finish the bond?" Aldrich ignored the advisor's question for a moment. He carried her into a resting chamber, warm, lit with soft silver candles. He laid her gently on a low bed covered with fur blankets. The moment she touched the bedding, her whole body relaxed. She hadn't realized how cold she was until warmth wrapped around her. Aldrich knelt beside her. His silver eyes glowed with concern. "How do you feel?" "Like I got hit by a truck made of moonlight," she whispered weakly. Despite everything, he almost smiled. She felt something twist lovingly inside her chest. It hurt and comforted all at once. Thorin entered the room quietly. "She is fading," he said gently. "The bond awakened without balance. It takes from her faster than she can survive." Aldrich looked at Suri's pale face, at her trembling hands. His jaw tightened. The bond hummed with his fear. "How long?" Aldrich asked. "Hours, maybe less." Suri swallowed. "Hours." Thorin nodded sadly. "Unless the bond is completed properly." She looked at Aldrich. "What does that mean?" Aldrich hesitated. He opened his mouth, then closed it. Thorin stepped forward. The bond between human and moonborn was never meant to be one-sided. A moonlit sigil is only stable when both lives share equally. She frowned. "Share what?" Aldrich finally spoke. "Life," he said quietly. "Blood, breath, fate." Her heartbeat sped up. "You mean I become like you?" "Not fully," Aldrich said quickly. "Not a vampire, not immortal, but something stronger than human, something that can hold this power." Thorin added gently, "Your heart will beat, your soul will stay human, but your lifespan will lengthen,
Your senses will sharpen. Your body will carry moon strength. And Aldrich? Suri asked. I will be bound to you. Completely. Truly. No curse, no separation, no second death. Suri's breath caught. And if I say no? Aldrich's throat worked, pain flickering in his eyes. Then you will die, and I will die with you. The room fell silent, heavy, thick, unbearable. She lowered her gaze. Her hands shook. She took a deep breath. Give me a moment. I need to think. Aldrich stood slowly. Take all the moments you need. He stepped away, giving her space. Thorin touched her shoulder softly. Whatever you choose, choose with your heart, not your fear. Then the two men left the room, closing the door softly behind them. Suri lay on the bed for a long time, staring at the ceiling. The candles flickered softly. The bond throbbed inside her chest, uneven, painful, fading. She whispered to herself, I'm just a delivery girl. I bring food to people. I struggle to pay rent. I don't fight curses. I don't save kings. I don't deserve any of this. But her grandmother's voice echoed softly in her memory. Kindness is the strongest magic in this world, Beatty. It may look small, but it changes everything. And suddenly she remembered the forest, the snow, the dying stranger, the moment he opened his eyes filled with silver light. She remembered his voice whispering her name like a prayer. She remembered how he followed her silently through the city, protecting her from rude customers, cruel bosses, dangerous streets. She remembered how he looked when she thought she was dying. The fear, the pain, the raw emotion in his eyes. She remembered the bond felt warm, strong, gentle, when they stood on the rooftop under the moon. She remembered how he said, You are not poor anymore. You are braver than kings. I would cross worlds for you. Her heart trembled, because somewhere deep inside her, she already knew her choice. She sat up slowly. I choose, she whispered to herself, feeling tears fill her eyes, to live. And not just live. Live with purpose. Live with power. Live for others like her who had been underestimated, ignored, stepped on. She stood on shaking legs. The bond pulsed faintly. Aldrich felt her decision. She could sense it through the thin thread connecting them. He was waiting outside the door. She opened it. He turned instantly, eyes searching her face. Suri, he whispered. She stepped toward him. Her voice was soft but steady. I choose you. Aldrich froze. The bond flared bright, shocked, relieved, and something warm and deep. She reached out her trembling hand. I choose the bond. I choose to live with you. His breath caught. Are you certain? She nodded. Yes. Slowly, he reached for her hand. Their fingers touched, and the sigils on their wrists burned bright silver. Thorin stepped forward carrying a small, ancient bowl carved with moon symbols. The ritual is simple. You share blood, willingly, equally. Aldrich looked at her one last time. If I do this, I bind my life to yours, completely. Then bind it, she whispered. I'm not going anywhere. Their hands intertwined. Aldrich lifted a ceremonial blade. He cut his wrist first. Silver blood, not red, not dark, flowed from the wound. It shimmered like liquid moonlight. He held it out to her. My life, he said, voice trembling, for yours.